You are watching this video right now because something inside you is not at peace. Not because life is falling apart, not because you've hit rock bottom, but because of something far quieter than that, far more insidious than that. You are watching this because you can feel the gap. The gap between who you are today and who you know you are supposed to be. The gap between what you said you would do and what you actually did. The gap between the version of you that wakes up every Monday morning with iron conviction and the version that gives in by Wednesday afternoon. You've started more times than you can count. You've written the plan. You've bought the journal. You've watched the videos. You've had the conversations with yourself at 2 in the morning when the quiet gets loud enough for you to actually hear what you've been avoiding. You know what you need to do. That's not the problem. Knowing has never been the problem. The problem is that something is working against you right now. Not a person, not your circumstances, not your upbringing, or your city, or your bank account. Something you cannot see. Something you cannot fight with anger, or willpower, or a good playlist. It is a force, and it is ruthless. It works every single second of your life, whether you are aware of it or not, whether you are using it or not, whether you are building with it, or it is quietly, systematically, destroying you with it. Right now, this second, this force, is compounding something in your life. Either it is compounding your discipline, your health, your financial decisions, your relationships, your skill, or, and this is the part no one wants to say out loud, it is compounding your avoidance, your excuses, your comfort, your smallness. There is no neutral position here. The compound effect does not take days off. It does not wait until you feel ready. It does not respect motivation. It does not care about your potential or what your mother told you were capable of. It simply executes, relentlessly, mathematically, without mercy, on whatever raw material you feed it, every single day. Most people spend their lives feeding it the wrong material, not because they are lazy, not because they are stupid, but because nobody ever sat them down and showed them the mechanics of the machine they are living inside. That is what this video is going to do. Water does not apologize for the canyon it creates. It just shows up, every day, in the same direction, and what looks like nothing for 1,000 years becomes something that cannot be argued with. You are going to understand today, at a level most people will never reach, what it actually means to compound yourself. Not your savings, not your investment portfolio, yourself, your identity, your capability, your daily architecture. And by the time this is over, you will never look at a single day the same way again. Because every single day, every single choice, is either a deposit or a withdrawal from the person you are becoming. If you are tired of fighting the current, if you are tired of watching other people compound their lives while yours stays flat, if you are done with the cycle of starting and stopping, and you want to finally build something that cannot be taken from you, you are in exactly the right place. Hit subscribe right now, not for me, for the version of you that is about to wake up. This community does not chase motivation. We build identity. We value discipline over feeling ready. Hit subscribe, and let's go. Act 2, The Wisdom of the Ancients. I want to take you to Japan, to the year 1600. Not the Japan of bullet trains or neon signs, the Japan of silence, of steel, of men who understood discipline not as a productivity hack, but as a total way of being alive. There is a boy, 13 years old. His name is Shinmen Takezo. He has no father anymore. His mother is gone. He lives in a province where the only thing that guarantees survival is skill, and the only path to skill is a road so long and so brutal that most men never reach the end of it. He picks up a wooden bokken, a practice sword, and he begins to practice, not for a week, not for a month, not for the 12 weeks of a program somebody sold him. He practices every single day for the next 13 years before he enters his first serious duel. 13 years, day after day after day, with no audience, no applause, no metrics to track his progress, no validation, just the same movements, the same cuts, the same footwork, repeated until the movement stopped being a technique and started being a truth about who he was. You probably already know this man's name. History remembers him as Miyamoto Musashi, Japan's greatest swordsman, a man who never lost a duel, a man who, by the time he was 60, had fought and won over 60 life-or-death confrontations. But what history forgets to say, what gets buried under the legend, is that Musashi was not born different from other men. He was not given some supernatural gift at birth. He was not chosen. He was built, one day at a time. Over 13 years of doing the work that produced zero visible results. Think about that for a moment. If Musashi had lived in this era, if he had a phone, a social feed, a comment section, he would have quit. He would have posted his training at month 3, gotten 6 likes, watched someone else go viral for doing something flashier, and concluded that the practice wasn't working. He would have pivoted. He would have optimized. He would have chased feedback. And Japan would have remembered a different man. But Musashi did something that the modern world has nearly erased from its consciousness. He understood a concept that was ancient even in his time, a concept the Japanese call kaizen. The word breaks down into 2 characters: kai, change; zen, good. Together, continuous improvement. But that translation is almost too clean. It strips away the weight of the original idea. Kaizen, in its truest form, is not a productivity system. It is a philosophy of existence. It is the belief, the unshakable, cellular-level belief, that the human being who improves by 1% every single day will not be recognizable to the person they were 1 year ago. Let me make that concrete, because it is the kind of statement that sounds inspiring and then evaporates the moment you close the browser tab. 1% improvement, every single day. Do that for 1 year, and you are not 10% better. You are not 30% better. You are 37 times better than when you started. 37 times, not because you had a breakthrough moment, not because the universe aligned, but because you showed up every day and got 1% better, and then compounded that improvement on top of itself, day after day, until the original number was almost unrecognizable. This is the part that breaks most people. Because when you start, you cannot see the growth. You cannot feel it. You train for 3 weeks, and you look the same. You write every day for 2 months, and you still feel like a beginner. You practice the discipline every morning, and by evening, the old patterns have crept back in, and you think, nothing is working. Nothing is working yet. There is a Japanese pottery tradition that illustrates this with brutal precision. For the first year of a master potter's training, the student is not allowed to touch clay. They watch. They clean the studio. They prepare the tools. They study the way their master's hands move. To the outside world, they are doing nothing. To anyone watching, no progress is being made. The apprentice who quits in that first year, who decides the learning isn't happening fast enough, will never hold the understanding in their hands. Because the learning was happening in a layer they could not see yet. The mind was being built. The eye was being trained. The patience that would eventually allow precise, masterful hands was being compounded beneath the surface. The samurai tradition operated on the same logic. The concept of shuhari, first you follow the rules exactly, then you break them consciously, then you transcend them, was built on the understanding that you cannot skip the stage of boring, invisible, compounding repetition. The master swordsman, who makes it look effortless, does not look effortless because he was always effortless. He looks effortless because he did the effortful thing so many times that effort became second nature. Now contrast this with what we are fed today. We live in the age of the overnight success story. The 18-year-old who went from 0 to 1 million followers in 8 months. The founder who turned a startup into a unicorn in 3 years. The trader who claims to have flipped $50 into 50,000 in a single quarter. And we watch these stories and we absorb the subconscious conclusion. Results should be visible. Results should be fast. If I'm not seeing them yet, the method isn't working. That conclusion will ruin your life. Because what those stories never show you is the years before the breakthrough, the decade of practice before the fame, the thousands of failed experiments that preceded the one that worked, the invisible compound interest that was silently building before the moment everyone declared it an overnight success. Musashi did not become Japan's greatest swordsman in a weekend. The canyon does not form in a rainstorm, and you will not become who you are supposed to be in the next 30 days of a challenge. But you will, without question, be further down the road, imperceptibly, undeniably, irreversibly further. And that is the only thing that actually matters, the mechanics of momentum. In 1994, a man named Jim Rohn gave a talk that would go on to shape the thinking of some of the most successful people alive today. Rohn was not flashy, he was not loud, he did not scream at audiences or sell hype. He spoke in the quiet, precise cadence of a man who had worked out exactly what separates the people who build extraordinary lives from the people who don't. And he said something that I want you to tattoo somewhere on the inside of your skull. Success is a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Failure is a few errors in judgment, repeated every day. Read it again. Sit with it. Not a few massive heroic acts. Not a single breakthrough moment. Not one perfect decision. A few simple disciplines, practiced every day. And on the other side of that coin, not catastrophic failures. Not dramatic collapses. Just a few errors in judgment. Small ones. Seemingly harmless ones. Repeated every day. Darren Hardy, a man who built his entire philosophy around Jim Rohn's legacy, described this in his book, The Compound Effect, with a story that I want you to hear, because it is the clearest illustration of this force that I have ever encountered. He describes 3 friends, all starting from the same place, same age, same city, same income, same circumstances. The first friend makes no changes at all. He keeps living exactly as he's been living. Gets home from work, cracks open a beer, sits on the couch, watches 2 hours of television, goes to bed. Every day. Consistent. The second friend decides he's going to get serious. He cuts back on alcohol. He starts going for a 30-minute walk every evening. He reads 10 pages of something meaningful before bed. He starts going to sleep 30 minutes earlier. Small things. No dramatic overhaul. Just a few better decisions. Every single day. The third friend decides he's really serious. He starts drinking more. Skips the exercise. Picks up a new habit of late-night snacking. Stays up an hour later watching content that means nothing. Small indulgences. No big deal, he tells himself. Just little things. At the end of month 1, they all look the same. No visible difference. You cannot tell them apart. At the end of month 6, still no dramatic difference. The second friend is a little more energetic. The third friend is a little more sluggish. But if you saw all 3 at a party, you would not be able to identify which one was building something. But at the end of year 5? Hardy describes the divergence as breathtaking. The first friend is still in the same apartment, still in the same job, still in the same routine, still vaguely aware of the gap between who he is and who he intended to be, but unable to point to the moment it all went wrong, because it never went wrong in a moment. It went wrong in a decade of invisible non-decisions. The second friend? He has lost 30 pounds without ever going on a diet. He has read over 200 books. His mind is sharper. His relationships are deeper. His professional skill has compounded through years of deliberate reading and reflection. He has been promoted twice. He carries himself differently. He thinks differently. The third friend? He has gained 30 pounds. He is tired all the time. His relationships are strained. His career has stalled. He doesn't understand why. There was no single catastrophic event. No one thing he can point to. Just a few small, seemingly insignificant errors in judgment, repeated every single day. Same starting line. 3 completely different destinations. And the only variable, the only thing that changed, was what each person chose to do with the invisible moments. The moments that nobody was watching. The moments that didn't feel consequential. That is the compound effect, and it is running in your life right now, this second. The question is, what is it running on? Stop the video for 30 seconds. I need you to do something before we go further. Go to the comments right now. Write down the one tiny, non-negotiable habit you are committing to for the next 30 days. Not a goal, not a resolution, a habit. Something small enough that you cannot fail at it. Something so small it feels almost embarrassing to write down. 5 push-ups every morning. 10 pages every night. 1 glass of water before coffee. 1 minute of silence before your phone. Write it in the comments. Make it real. Not for me, for you. Because the research is clear. The act of writing a commitment down in a public space increases your follow-through rate by over 60%. Pause, write it, and then come back. Now let's talk about why you are going to want to quit. Because you will want to quit, and it will happen at the exact moment you least expect it. There is a phase that comes in the life of every person who commits to compounding. Darren Hardy calls it the Valley of Disappointment. And it is the single most important concept in this entire video, because if you don't understand it, you will abandon the very system that is already working, right before it starts to show. Here is how it works. You start. You are genuinely committed this time. You've watched the video, you've written the habit down, you've told yourself, this is different. And it is different. In the first week, the energy is there, the novelty is there. You actually feel the momentum building. Week 2 is still solid. A few rough days, but you held the line. Week 3 is harder. The novelty has worn off. You don't feel different yet. You look in the mirror and nothing has changed. You check your metrics and they're flat. You sit with the journal and nothing profound is happening. And the quiet, devastating thought creeps in. Is this actually doing anything? That thought is the valley. And almost everyone who enters it never comes out on the other side. Not because the system failed, not because the habit was wrong, not because they are somehow fundamentally broken, but because they hit the valley at exactly the moment when the compound interest was just beginning to build under the surface, and they concluded the investment wasn't paying off, right before the payout. Think about what a graph of compounding actually looks like. For the first section of the curve, the line is almost flat. You are putting in work, real work, consistent work, but the output line is nearly horizontal. Nothing dramatic, nothing visible. You have to squint to even see that anything is happening. And then the line bends. And once it bends, it climbs with a speed that looks impossible from where you started. The same work that produced nothing visible for months suddenly produces explosive, compounding results. The skill that felt like it was going nowhere for a year suddenly starts performing at a level that makes people ask how you did it so fast. Fast. They call it overnight success. You know it's 10,000 hours of invisible compounding that finally crossed the threshold. The difference between the people who change their lives and the people who spend their lives talking about changing their lives is not talent, intelligence, or resources. It is the willingness to stay in the valley, to keep depositing into an account that seems like it isn't paying interest, because you understand that the mathematics are not broken. The mathematics are simply slow at the start. Jim Rohn put it this way: what is easy to do is also easy not to do. That sentence is deceptively small. It is actually enormous. The habit that will change your life is easy enough to do today. A walk, a page, a call, a glass of water, 5 minutes of focused work. Easy enough that there is no legitimate excuse not to do it. And precisely because it is easy, precisely because there is no friction, no drama, no weight to it, it is also easy not to do. And when you don't do it, nothing seems to happen. No immediate consequence. No alarm goes off. No punishment arrives. The world keeps moving, and you tell yourself you'll pick it back up tomorrow. Tomorrow. Do you know what lives in tomorrow? Nothing. Tomorrow is where momentum goes to die. Tomorrow is the most expensive place you will ever spend your time. Every tomorrow you push something into costs. You not just today's compound interest, but the interest on the interest on the interest that would have built on top of today. Musashi did not practice tomorrow. He practiced in the cold at dawn, in the rain, on days when his body ached and his mind was empty and nobody was watching and nobody cared. Not because he was some inhuman figure of legend, but because he understood, at 13 years old, what it took most people a lifetime to learn. The person you are becoming is built in the ordinary days, not the inspired ones. ACT 4. Identity over outcome. I want to shift the entire frame of what we've been talking about, because everything I've described so far, the kaizen philosophy, the valley of disappointment, the mechanics of tiny daily choices, all of it will fail to stick if you are chasing it from the wrong direction. Most people approach the compound effect as a method for getting something. Get the body, get the income, get the relationship, get the lifestyle. And because their focus is on getting the thing, the moment the thing feels far away, which, in the early stages of compounding, it always does, the motivation collapses. Because motivation is not designed for distance. Motivation is a sprint fuel. It is designed for short bursts. The feeling of it burns hot and fast, and then it is gone, and you are left standing in the same field, holding the same wooden bokken, wondering why the fire isn't there today. Here is the truth that changes everything. Motivation is fragile. Identity is absolute. Read that again. Motivation comes and goes with your mood, your sleep quality, your social feed, the weather, the argument you had this morning, the comparison you made at lunch. It is atmospheric. It changes with conditions you cannot always control. Identity is different. Identity is structural. Identity is the story you have told yourself so many times and lived out so consistently that it has stopped being a story and started being a fact. When the person who runs 5 miles every morning is asked how they motivate themselves, they look confused. They don't motivate themselves. They are a runner. Runners run. That is what runners do. The question of motivation doesn't enter the equation because the behavior is no longer attached to a feeling, it is attached to an identity. When the person who reads every night before bed misses a day, they feel genuinely uncomfortable. Not because they set a step count goal, but because they are a reader, and readers read, and not reading feels like a violation of who they are. The goal of the compound effect is not to build better habits, it is to build a different person, and the path there is not motivation, it is not willpower. It is not discipline in the sense that most people understand it, as the exhausting act of forcing yourself to do what you don't want to do. Real discipline, the kind that Musashi lived inside, is the result of a man who has decided who he is. And a man who knows who he is does not need to fight himself every morning. He simply acts in accordance with his identity. The fight is over before it starts. So the question you need to answer is not, what do I want to achieve? The question is, who am I becoming? And then, and this is where the rubber meets the road, you need to act like that person today, before you have the results. Before you have the evidence, before the environment has validated the claim, you want to be a writer, write today. Not when you feel ready, not when you have the right desk and the right software and the right number of followers. Today, one page, because writers write. You want to be someone who earns at a higher level? Invest in your mind today, not when you can afford the course. Today, 10 pages of a book, one idea applied. Because people who earn at a higher level are people who think at a higher level, and they built that thinking one page at a time. You want to be someone with a body that reflects your discipline? Move today. Something, anything, because the athlete doesn't wait for motivation to show up before they show up. They show up, and the movement itself generates what's needed. Every action you take is a vote for the person you are becoming. Cast enough votes, and the election is decided. You know someone who is stuck. You know someone who is caught in the cycle of starting and stopping, who is in the valley right now and is about to quit, who is 2 months into the most important thing they've ever tried and is ready to walk away because the results haven't shown up yet. Send them this video, right now. While it's playing, open your messages and send it. Because iron sharpens iron. The people around you are either in the compound or they're not. And the most powerful thing you can do for your own compounding, for your own momentum, is surround yourself with people who are building the same way. Send it. Do it now. Come back. Now. Let me give you something concrete. Not a manifesto, not a 10-step plan with color-coded quadrants. A framework. Simple enough to start tomorrow morning. Powerful enough that, in 12 months, you will not recognize the life you're living. The architecture of daily compounding. 5 components. Component 1. The anchor. Before you open your phone, before you check email, before you consume anything, news, social media, notifications, you do your one non-negotiable thing, your anchor habit, the thing you wrote in the comments. 5 minutes of journaling, 10 minutes of reading, 20 minutes of exercise, 1 page of writing. It doesn't matter what it is. It matters that it happens first, before the world gets its hooks into your attention. Because the morning is the only moment in the day where you control the narrative. The rest of the day, the world writes the script. The morning is yours. Guard it like your life depends on it. Because your life, the life you are trying to build, absolutely does. Component 2. The ledger. Every night, before bed, you answer 3 questions. Not in your head, on paper. First, what did I do today that the person I am becoming would do? Second, what did I do today that the person I am becoming would not do? Third, what is the one thing I will do tomorrow that I did not do today? This is not a journaling exercise. This is a daily audit of your identity. You are checking, every single day, whether your actions are aligning with your declared self. You are catching the drift before it becomes the direction. Component 3. The minimum standard. You will have bad days. You will have days where the world comes apart, and the habit feels impossible, and every cell in your body wants to opt out. On those days, you do not take the day off. You do not give yourself permission to break the chain. You lower the bar to the floor, and you step over it. 1 push-up instead of 30. 1 paragraph instead of a page. 1 minute of silence instead of 20. 1 sentence of the book. The goal on those days is not improvement. The goal is the identity. The goal is the vote. The goal is waking up the next morning as someone who showed up, even when they didn't feel like it. because that is the day that builds the most durable part of who you are. Not the inspired days, the hard days. Musashi did not only practice on the mornings he felt like a warrior. Component 4. The environment. You cannot compound behavior in an environment that is actively fighting it. If you want to read every morning and your phone is the first thing your eyes land on, you will lose. The phone will win, not because you are weak, but because you have made willpower compete against architecture. And willpower always loses that fight. Charge your phone outside the bedroom. Put the book on your pillow. Lay your workout clothes next to your bed the night before. Remove the friction from the behavior you want. Add friction to the behavior you don't. Your environment is a vote-rigging machine. It is casting votes on your behalf every single day before you are even conscious. Make sure it is voting for the right person. Component 5. The long view. This is the hardest one, and the most important. You must be willing, genuinely, psychologically willing, to do the work for a year before you see the kind of results that other people notice. Not a month. A year. Chinese moso bamboo. Look it up. For the first 4 years after you plant it, you see almost nothing. Just a small, stubborn sprout. You water it, you tend to it. Nothing happens. Nothing you can photograph. Nothing that would get a like. In year 5, it grows 90 feet. 90 feet. In 6 weeks. Did it grow 90 feet in 6 weeks? Or did it grow 90 feet over 5 years? Both answers are true, and this is the nature of compounding that the impatient mind will never experience, because it quits in year 3 when the sprout still looks like a sprout. You are the bamboo. The work you are doing right now, the habit that nobody is clapping for, the morning routine that your colleagues think is obsessive, the daily discipline that doesn't show up in any metric yet, is building the root system. Do not rip the plant out of the ground because you cannot see it growing. Leave it, water it, show up, every day, without exception. The growth is coming, the mathematics guarantee it, the final anchor. Here is what nobody will tell you. Time is going to pass. That is not a motivational statement. It is not a metaphor. It is not a reframe. It is a fact, so absolute and so final that most people spend their entire lives refusing to look directly at it. The next 5 years are going to happen. There is nothing you can do to stop them, whether you compound or you don't, whether you water the bamboo or you don't, whether you write the one thing in the comments or you don't, whether you send this video or you don't. 5 years will pass. The only question that matters is who you will be at the end of them. That is you. 5 years from now. If you start today, if you hold the line through the valley, if you decide, not feel, decide who you are and then act accordingly. One day, one habit, one vote at a time. The compound effect is not a self-help concept. It is a force of nature, and it has been waiting for you to pick a direction. Pick one, today. Understanding the compound effect is only half of what you need. Because there is a force working directly against your momentum every single day. A force more seductive than failure, more dangerous than laziness, and more widespread than anything I have described tonight. It is modern comfort, and it is quietly destroying your ambition at the neurological level. Click the video on the screen right now. I have built an entire framework for mental resilience, for protecting the momentum you are now committed to building, the psychological tools that keep you in the fight when the valley feels permanent. That video is next. I will see you there.